Hey there, are you ready to build a fitness business that becomes a true income-producing asset? Then I welcome you to the Fitness Business Freedom Show, brought to you by Fitness Revolution. I am your host, Justin Hanover, and we have over 15 years of experience building thriving fitness businesses, and we are committed to sharing our knowledge and expertise with you. You can expect to hear proven business foundations and frameworks, success stories from our coaching partners, and guest experts to give you straight answers for your biggest questions. It doesn't matter if you have an online business, fitness facility, or operate as an independent trainer, you are in the right place to grow your business and create the personal freedom you desire. Welcome to today's episode. I'm your host, Justin Hanover, success coach with Fitness Revolution. Before we dive in and bring on today's guest, I want to share a little bit about what you can expect to hear and who we have joining us today. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dani Almeyda. Dani is passionately driven to make the world a better place through introducing people to movement and hope. She believes everyone was made to move, and that movement is the ultimate prescription to health and happiness. Dani and her business partner, Tim Anderson, have run their gym in North Carolina for the past 10 years and have seen continued growth opportunities. Dani and Tim are also owners of Original Strength, a continuing education company that works with healthcare and fitness providers, as well as a book publishing company. Together, Dani and Tim both travel around teaching workshops and speaking at events. She is a proud mother of two, the wife of a firefighter, and heavily involved in her community. And within our conversation, we hit on everything from marketing, retention, major challenges, and expanding in the online world. So I thought it would be good just to highlight one major takeaway that she brought up in our conversation, and it was around a strong referral culture that she's been able to create within her facility that is consistently bringing referrals in, and in a way that has her members excited to do it and feel like they're part of building the business. So if you're not bringing in regular referrals, this will definitely be something you want to take in and make sure you pay attention to and take notes on. So let's get into it and bring Dani onto the show. Today's episode is brought to you by Fitness Revolution. So you started your fitness business and you've been in the game now for a few years. You might have even seen some good growth over those years, but now you feel stuck. You feel like the momentum you once had just isn't there and you don't know how to get it back. Should you be focusing on your marketing, your sales, or your team? What is the next bottleneck to focus on that will allow you to break the chains holding you back? That's a great question. And one of the biggest skills as an owner is to be able to understand and identify the next biggest issue to keep your business moving. This is exactly why Fitness Revolution has created our proprietary needs assessment to allow you to quickly see where your business stacks up and receive immediate feedback on what to focus on next. It's a quick 10-question assessment that will be able to provide valuable feedback to get past sticking points and hit your next goal. Whether you are currently stuck or feel frustrated with your progress or just want to dial in what's currently working, this assessment is the first step to making that happen. I invite you to head over to the show notes where a direct link to the needs assessment will be so you can easily access it there. Now let's jump into today's show. Dani, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to spend it with us and helping other gym owners move forward.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
It's absolutely my pleasure. So let's start with giving our listeners some perspective as to like that 1,000-foot overview of how you got to where you are with Original Strength and the Original Strength Institute.
Yeah, well, 1,000-foot overview. Well, first of all, we have been doing this for about 10 years now, a little over. And I started out like many other coaches. I was training in a big box gym, having clients of my own, kind of on the side, running things outside and at other facilities. And I met my business partner, Tim Anderson, here when I moved to the town that we live in, and we decided that we were going to partner up and kind of join forces out of a very small office space. And over the several years, we continued to grow into a little bit bigger space and a little bit bigger space. And we've moved 3 times since then, and potentially again very soon as we've grown. And during that process of our own growth in terms of our gym and working with more and more clients, we decided that we were going to really fine tune and share what we do with our clients and our members at our facility and take it into a continuing education program, which is known as Original Strength. And so we kind of marketed and pocketed a whole little system which other fitness professionals and healthcare providers can utilize in their own businesses and practices as well. So I don't know if I answered your question, but 1,000-foot overview is we started very tiny, grew, and we are, 10 years in, doing well, feeling good, and, continuing to move forward.
That's what we got to do. Keep putting that one foot in front of the other. Now, I was actually, before we move forward too, I want to see if maybe you can speak a little bit on the fact that you have a partnership. I mean, I know a lot of people tend to shy away from that, thinking that it's more difficult, not a good thing to do. But can you share that exactly how you guys have set up your partnership, and do you have different roles? How do you feel it has strengthened the business?
Yeah. So, so Tim and I are partners, and I 100% believe that we have been incredibly lucky and fortunate that we have found a way to work really, really well together. And I also can totally back that if we were not in this together, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. I have seen and heard and have friends that have been in partnerships that haven't always been as fruitful. And I think one of the biggest things between, our partnership, kind of what works for us, is that, one, we've become friends, right? So we're not just business partners. We're family. We care about one another. We trust one another. And I think that's what it comes down to, is that we've really been able to establish a trust to know that we're always looking out for the other individual. And I think we've really tried to very clearly define that we each have certain roles. So like you're saying, we do each have different roles. And sometimes we do float between the two, right? I might have input on something that he's typically doing and vice versa, but it's worked really well for us. He typically tends to focus more on our programming aspects and our operations within the facility, and some of our staffing things and continuing education. Whereas I'm focusing a little bit more on some of the business growth, marketing, and sales. So kind of have a nice split that works well, so we can balance each other out.
Yeah, no, definitely. That sounds really good. So then it's clear that you guys have different strengths. And where you're able to focus on, so you're not trying to do each other's thing.
Yeah, actually, and I would say we've done a couple of different studies over the last 10 years. And one of the things that was really, really helpful for Tim and I is we did the Strengths Finders test. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these, but there's, I think it's 34 different strengths, or maybe 33 different strengths that are categorized. And basically, when you take this test, you answer some questions, and it comes back and it kind of tells you hey, these are your top, 3 strengths or whatever it is. But it allows you, and we actually did it with our whole team, but it kind of really gave us some insight on what Tim is really good at and what Dani is really good at, and how we can utilize each other's strengths to kind of really balance things out. And it allowed us to really focus on the strengths, not on the weaknesses, which was super cool. So I definitely recommend checking out Strengths Finders, because that was very insightful for us, not only as partners, but also as for our entire staff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely good to be aware of those. And then it also helps you, I think, like you said, as a leader role, to understand how to integrate everyone better, and manage expectations too. Because if something is not someone's forte, by grinding it on them, it isn't necessarily going to change anything. So I think that's a fantastic thing. And I firmly believe that partnerships will always go further than a solo person. I mean, because it's really hard to be amazing at every part of business. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. Like you have a capacity because you just can't be amazing at everything. And there's things that you're going to enjoy more over other things. So, I mean, it sounds like that you guys have like a really beautiful, like partnership there, because like you said, you wouldn't be where you are if you didn't have each other. So, I mean, imagine like not having that piece of the business and having it to just be you. I mean, that's a totally different story.
We drive each other crazy, but I really can't imagine not doing this with him.
Hey, we're all a little bit crazy. I mean, you're in business, so it's I think that comes with the territory.
True.
But I just wanted to bring that up because I think that is something that's important, and I think it also is another like a business strategy that people should be looking at, especially through like going through different times that we've gone through, especially over this past year. Something like that is going to obviously expose your weaknesses even more, and things that you're not good at even more. So that's where it's like, if you can find somebody that can cover your weakness basically and bring that value to it that you can work with, it's only going to make you stronger moving forward, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. We saw that through COVID 100%. Like,
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's a huge thing, and I think it's something that more people should look into. But on that note, I want to talk about like some other challenges that you've experienced through your journey and your process, and more, I guess, specifically like challenges that maybe like were unique to your business model or concept. It doesn't matter which business model, whether it's the Original Strength Institute or Original Strength. Just any particular challenge that you didn't expect, that you had to work through, and are now on the other side of it. Like, what did that look like for you? What was it? And like I said, keeping it specific to your business, because I mean, we all went through obviously challenges over this past year, but I want to hear some stuff like specific to your business.
yeah. Well, I have a couple of different challenges that have kind of come up over the course of the years and that have affected both businesses, to be honest. And I'd say the first thing that I never really expected is that we, both in our gym and in Original Strength, we do things differently, and we believe things that are different than what our society and like what culture believes is necessary for a good workout or to feel good or to get fit. And so we've struggled. There's been times where we've really struggled trying to explain what we do and why it is good, because we didn't know. It's like we were talking a different language that they didn't care about, which they did, right? They think, in order to be really healthy and fit, that they need to have a certain type of thing. And, now with COVID actually is there's some upsides, but also some downsides, in that so many people have gone to social media, and these Instagram influencers are providing like this free content with, like how to get shredded and things like that. And they don't really have some of the knowledge and the background. So, it's kind of pumping a little bit more full of some of the misinformation. But so I'd say that has honestly been a big challenge, is just trying to make sure that like what we're doing is clear to the average person that just wants to feel good and get healthier. I don't know. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I can definitely see that. I was going to say, even like right off the bat, like even the name, I mean, Original Strength, Original Strength Institute, like using that word institute is not like a word that usually people associate with going to a place they're going to work out.
So I'm not going to lie. If I were to go back now, I probably would not have used institute. And I have multiple examples of this. I had a client that had been with me for years, and she would, every time that our members are at the gym, they were posting on social media and sharing, and tag that she's at the Original Strength Institute. And finally she comes in one time and she tells me that her friends keep thinking she's sharing that she's at her therapy appointments. I'm like, well, kind of, but like,
depends what type of therapy.
Yeah, she's going to therapy. And then just 2 weeks ago, I had someone come by and said, "Oh, we thought this was just for old people." And I was like, okay, so I need to do a little better there. But it is, it's different. And, in some ways at the time when we were naming with the Institute, we're like, oh, let's make something different because we didn't want to be called a gym is really what happened. But if the whole world is looking for a gym, they're not going to know, we got to talk their language, even if we want to be different. So that was a challenge. But definitely a lesson on.
So how did you start coming over that messaging issue? Yeah,
well, so in terms of our gym alone, part of our marketing strategy is we are on our kind of our slogan is it says we're sort of like a gym, but different. And then we kind of go through and explain what different means. But we try to kind of like pique their curiosity of, so that's all over our windows in terms of storefront. We have a very high traffic location. It's on our website and things like that. So we've tried to really kind of define, well, first of all, pique their interest in what's different. And so much too, as the effect that I'm actually not necessarily targeting the typical gym goer. I'm targeting people that don't generally love going to the gym. I want the rest of the percentage. If there's only 3% that's actively working out, they can go to a gym. I want the people that are like, I don't want to step foot in a gym. I don't like working out. I don't want to be sweaty. I'm too broken. So I'm really going after a different audience. So, so that's kind of how I've used that as a little bit of leverage, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, have you been seeing a measurable change with how people have been coming into the facility?
Yeah, I would say so. Our general membership at our gym is not, honestly, it is just not your traditional gym goer. We have a lot of people that come in feeling very broken or have never worked out in their life. And they come here because they think that this is a place that they can, that's different than what they have in their head. Because again, so, I was saying before, so much of our culture believes you have to be pedal to the metal, feel like you're going to throw up when you're working out and, be punished, punishment as your exercise and all this stuff. And we try to really introduce that, no, you don't have to have that. And that's what all of those other people that aren't working out are afraid of because they think it's one thing. So, we really tried to kind of tell them and educate them on what it looks like to be healthy and to be strong and kind of focusing on that side of things, I guess. But yeah, we've definitely seen a big change in terms of people being, just honestly, just the typical membership that we're bringing in is just not your average gym goer, I guess.
Okay. No, and I think it's a good segue into, I wanted to talk about some marketing stuff with you as well too. How are you exactly going about getting that message across, and where are you doing that? Because I think that's one of that is the golden goose there of what people are trying to, I think, get a good handle on is how do they speak to their people and where exactly do they go to do that? And so that messaging is always the ongoing battle of bringing that right person in.
Well, I think I want to be really honest and clear. I think we're still very much in the process of learning and growing through those pieces and getting better with each day and each year. But, I think some of the most effective things that we've done to take part in that is by really educating our members and asking them to invite their friends and family, getting our members talking about what it is that they're doing and what is so different about our place. And we've done a couple of different kind of, I guess, events around, not necessarily events, but marketing strategies around member referrals because, we're trying to get our members' friends to come in. And so we've, from giving our members things to be able to hand out to friends that, is like a little card that, invites them in for, to be a VIP of theirs for the week, that kind of specifically says like, hey, this is that gym that I keep telling you about. It's time for you to finally come to. And we kind of encourage them to share how helpful it's been. And I don't necessarily know that that's special in comparison to what everybody else is doing. But other than some of our big referrals, that's kind of our main way of growth, is we also do a lot of community events, and we encourage our members to participate in these community service or community events, and that typically draws some attention. Whether it is like, say we're doing a community service project and our members invite their friends to participate in the community service project. And so their friends are then getting to know our community and getting to see, oh, there's people just like me. And then they kind of start coming in and doing things as well. So I'd say some of our community outreach type programs has been a really useful way to bring in more people that we're kind of shooting for. And then we just like to have fun. We have, like I said earlier, we have a very high traffic location. So, we put a different sandwich board out in front of our gym on a regular basis, and people are driving by, and it's got funny and motivational quotes to like, hey, there's a 2-week trial, like, typical stuff too. But we try to change it up enough that it makes people laugh and that they remember us when they drive by. So I don't know. There's some things. I don't know if that's helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I like your approach is definitely focused on relationship building. And I think that's something that, again, people take for granted because it's so easy to go to Facebook and put a post up, or go to Instagram or any online platform. Rather than getting out there, getting face to face with people, it takes more time to do that. But in the flip side of that is you're obviously building a much better connection with that person. So the likelihood of them, when they do come in, actually being a really good fit or a good quality person that wants to be there is a lot higher. We're in the relationship business. It isn't necessarily the fitness business. It's about building relationships. The better you are at building relationships, the better the business is going to be. So I like your approach with the referral. Did you have any issue with getting people on board with doing that right away? Because I know that's a big struggle for people. It's like, oh, we have referrals, but like nobody talks about it or says anything. So like, did you have any kind of pushback with that?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. We did have pushback. I think what made it, as we did 2 different things that kind of pushed it to make it a little bit easier. Now, we found out that our members are not motivated by winning, but if they refer someone and we give them a $25 gift card, like they don't care. Like they don't care about having a gift card. They don't care about getting a t-shirt. I mean, we've done all of these different things over the years of like rewarding our members. One of the most popular things we did was we wrote their names on a chalkboard, and it said, hey, you're super awesome. And then it listed the names of our referrals. Like they cared more about having their name on this chalkboard than they did about having any kind of gift given to them for referring. So we figured out, okay, they're not really motivated by gifts, but they were motivated by the idea of helping us grow. So we educated them on like, hey, our best ability, like we grow best with your support. And we have loved having you here. We'd love to have more people just like you. You are our ideal client. And if you're our ideal client, then we bet your friends are too. So we would love for you, if you're enjoying it here, we'd love for you to invite them in. Here you can either send them this link, and, we'll contact them and invite them in to set them up for a trial on your behalf, right? Like, so let them know that like, we're going to say that they gifted it, or here's a gift card. You bring this to your friend, give us their name and they'll take it in. So we actually didn't ask, we did allow them if they wanted to input their friend's information, but we put it on them to go out to the community and forward. And we challenged them to, like at one point I said, hey, I'd love to meet 10 of your friends this month. Anyone interested? Like anyone who's going to step up and bring a friend. And that was very effective for us just from asking.
Yeah.
So, but at first though, like, people, they weren't motivated unless I just asked them and explained why.
Yeah. I think that's an important thing to point out there too, of what you like, you weren't trying to force what you thought was of value to them. I mean, like, in the beginning, you had to play around with it, like you said, and figure out what they valued. But people value different things. And like you said, like, and if they're not like taking to the money side of things or the gift side of things, and you have to uncover like what it is that really gets them to want to be a part of a bigger picture type of thing. So I think I think it's a really important thing to put out there, that especially people who are trying to do their own referral things. Like, there's not just one path, obviously, to make this work. It's figuring out what actually makes your ideal client tick. Like, what do they really respond to? And I also like the fact that you bring them into behind the curtain, if you will, of being like, hey, this is what's really going on, and this is your part in it, and how you can make this move.
At the end of the day, I think people want to be a part of something all the time. Like, I will always like put my hands down, like, people want to be a part of something. So whether it's they're part of a really awesome community, they are a part of this opportunity to give and to help somebody, or they are a part of something fun, like, they just want to be a part of something. And I think right now too, I think people, and especially depending on the time of year, you can kind of use that in different ways. Like, right, we're coming up on Christmas and Thanksgiving. You can utilize their interests in being able to give and spread joy and cheer and things like that. And I don't mean to use them and take advantage, but giving them opportunities to be involved in something bigger than themselves and kind of pointing some of those pieces out, I think is always going to be helpful. And honestly, that's how we've grown our business, is hands down on that alone.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. I mean, while you were saying that, it made me think of the fact that, like, you see people with small businesses in your local towns and stuff like that, and how good does that person feel when they know the owner of that business? And it's like they just like, they feel like they're like, roll out the red carpet, like they know, like if they go to a local restaurant, they know the owner. It's like they feel special. So it's like they feel like they're connected to something, rather just being another big conglomerate business that has no idea who they are. And I think, especially nowadays, having that connection is really important for people, because people are kind of sick of that big business feel. So I think having that actual true connection and kind of like that grassroots business feel to it is something that people, the majority, really enjoy and value. So I think that's a solid approach. Plus, it's obviously something that you guys own. So it's like, doesn't matter what happens on the internet, algorithms or anything, it doesn't affect what you guys do.
Yeah. No, we do put out a lot of regular content. We think that is really important as well. So I will throw that out there. Like, we do regular, like, regular blogs every week, YouTube videos, regular social media usage. So, I mean, we make sure that we're present. We just don't put all of our eggs necessarily into those baskets, but we want to make sure we have a presence, so that when we've created this relationship and someone's like, I think I do want to find out more on them, then there's like, oh, look at this, and there's this, and there's this.
And do you guys do any paid marketing at all?
Honestly, we have, but nothing really big I mean, we've done some Facebook and Instagram ads. I think for us, they've been hit or miss. I think that, especially too, with so much changing and the people using Facebook changing, that was a much more powerful way. Honestly, I felt like Facebook was very effective for us for a while. It just doesn't seem to be what it was before. We've also done some print ads. We have a pretty well-read local magazine that we've participated in. And I would advise anyone that is looking into something like that, not necessarily to just think about doing an ad, but offering a writing opportunity where you write and provide content for them, because usually those local magazines are looking for people to provide educational content on certain topics, and they don't usually have a ton of writers. So if you have that skill set, that's a good opportunity for businesses to be able to offer to write something for a local, magazine or whatever it is, to publish. So just something to think about.
Yeah, no, it definitely, and I think it's those. We need a blend of offline and online, and in in facility sources to be bringing more people to you. It's like you can't, like you said, you can't just put your eggs all in one basket. It has to be multiple sources, multiple channels, all working, because you never know when one's going to take a dip, and you don't want to be relying just on one. You want to make sure that you have different poles in the water to all be working for you.
For sure.
But I like that you guys really focus on the referral thing, because then what that does is that also does solidify your kind of like your proof of concept, like of what you guys are doing and like your product. I mean, to know that you can grow your business off referrals says a lot about the service, the culture, the experience, and that also does give you very good confidence. Then, if you were to put money behind it in your marketing, that you would convert people, because you have established obviously a high level of quality within your business, to the point where you're able to grow off of referrals. So I think that's all like good signs, and I think anybody listening to this that like hasn't nailed that piece down yet and is trying to jump into paid ads, I would pump the brakes on the paid ads and focus on getting this part down first, then put money into it once you know that you're able to grow organically. I think that's a crucial thing to save you a lot of money.
Okay. Especially if you don't have your processes in place. Like, you bring in all these people and then you have systems not working properly. They just go into the mess.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, success before you're ready can be like the worst thing ever. And people don't always think of that. And it could be equally as bad as having no one come in.
Yeah.
So obviously it seems like you also have a good client retention rate and everything, and with how you're operating, with, again, like obviously how you're able to grow from referrals. So what does that look like? How are you able to grow, like keep your retention rate and be able to grow from your client base? Like, so what exactly are you doing? What does that client experience look like for you guys?
Yeah. So in terms of all of our members, once they get through like kind of our onboarding process, so they have a trial process, they join, they're with us. We do a few different things throughout the year and kind of throughout, especially their first year, and then ongoing, to kind of help keep them in the line. So first of all, our staff keeps tabs on our participants. It's really been always important to us from the beginning that we make sure that if people are paying us to be here, that they are indeed using their membership. Like, we don't want to be a Planet Fitness that counts on, only 20% of their membership actually showing up. We want 95. I want 100% of my members actually showing up, but we want our people using what they're paying us for. So, we've got people following up. If they haven't been in for a while, usually about 10 days, we know about it and someone's reaching out for a personal touch, whether that is a phone call, a text, whatever their preferred method of communication is. So that is one. What?
Who's the person that's reaching out on your team?
So it kind of depends. We've had some management changes, so it depends on who they see the most. So our manager, sometimes it's me, will kind of look over and say like, hey, I haven't seen, these couple people. They'll bring it to our staff meeting. And then if we have one coach that generally works with this individual, that coach will usually reach out specifically to them. If it's a special situation, a little bit more complicated, then it might be me or my business partner, just to give them a little bit of a, coming from an owner conversation. But yeah, I guess it really just depends on who it is that gets the touch. But usually, our entire coaching staff is involved in this process. So that kind of answers that. But yeah, so we're reaching out. This is something that we go over during our staff meetings, so that we can kind of see, where things are at. And then we also have a community group that we utilize very regularly in social media, on Facebook. So we're regularly posting there. People are kind of engaging, and it's everything from stupid memes and GIFs to, hey, here's the upcoming event, or here's a good recipe, or, someone just posted about what's the best socks like the other day. And everyone commented on their favorite socks, which blows my mind. But, so there's a lot of engagement there. We have a lot of social events that everyone is invited to that are members. So we believe that if we can keep them connected and wanting to hang out and being a part of something outside of just their, 3, 4, 5 times a week that they're coming in to exercise, so that we can do life together too and serve and give back to the community in ways. That's been very effective for us. So we have that. We send them handwritten birthday cards in the mail with a little gift from us. We send them, we know about when their kids graduate from college, when their parent passes away. I mean, when someone's pregnant. I mean, we celebrate these things, and we reach out to them, not celebrate death, obviously, but we're there. So, relationships, back to relationships. So, that's really how we've built that retention. That we've been able to keep people just because they are connected to us. They're not just a person paying a bill at a gym that they sometimes go to. They are a part of something. And we refer to that, the name of our group on Facebook is the OSI fam. And when our members write about their time at the gym, they're talking about their gym fam, their gym family. They're talking about it. I mean, and, we had someone earlier this year, their wife had been diagnosed with cancer. This individual and not everybody at the gym knew this guy. He had hundreds of dollars worth of meals brought to his house and just gifted, from members that he's never met, but, he felt that love, you know what I mean? So, and that kind of goes around from all of our members at different points. So I rambled.
Yeah, obviously that's a testament from you guys that's from instilling that from the top down. And not just hoping that it happens to work out that way. So with some of the stuff that you mentioned, they do the handwritten cards, stuff like that. Does anything happen? Does that stuff happen consistently for everyone?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, so you guys have certain points that you will be sure to make sure that stuff happens.
Yes. So we have systems in place. So, there's a handwritten card for, like I said, for birthdays. Those are done, at one time every month. We sit down, we put all of the birthdays together, put the little gift card in there. For anniversaries, their yearly anniversary, we have an email that's sent to them saying thank you. And we give them a gift. We give them a credit to use towards our retail area. And we take their picture and we do a little interview with them if they are up for it. But yeah, I mean, as far as the handwritten stuff, unless we don't know about something, it's being covered. So, even for referrals, when a member refers somebody, we handwrite them a note to say thank you. We've kind of fallen off of this one, but we also had always welcomed new members. And this one is our least consistent, but with a handwritten note from my business partner and I specifically, where we've actually sent them in the mail, because it's just cool to get mail, right? People don't get mail as much anymore.
Real good mail.
Yeah. So we try to utilize real mail as much as we can.
I like that. No, it's good. It's just doing those little, it's not rocket science when it comes to building relationships and keeping relationships with people. But I think we just got caught up. I think a lot of people get caught up in this fad of automation and thinking that everything has to be automated for it to be a good business. And it's yes, there is a place for that, but ultimately when it comes to actually building and sustaining relationships, you can't automate that.
Yeah. Automation and efficiency is wonderful, but if you can have a really good process for the execution of even those other little things like the handwritten notes, it can feel like automation once you get your system in place. So it still can be feeling more efficient with your time.
Definitely. No, I appreciate you sharing that, because that's very true. I do have one more question I want to kind of like really hit on with you, because I know you've been transitioning towards pushing into the online space more. So I was wondering if you can share some insights with that of like exactly like what your online offering looks like, and like have you been able to apply some of the same approaches, like some of the things that you've been mentioning already from the brick and mortar to the online, or some things that have been having to be completely different?
Yeah, I would say I think it's a lot harder to be able to provide that same level of relationship with in the online realm. And it depends. Okay, so we do have an online offering. Fortunately, we began building that online program and platform prior to COVID. So when COVID hit, we were able to really fall back and utilize that. And our goal during COVID especially was to be able to provide as custom and personable experience online where they really felt like they were getting a coach experience in their online training, right? If they weren't going to be able to go to the gym and they were stuck at home by themselves or whatever it was, we wanted them to know there was someone on the other side of the screen that was caring about them and wanted to help them do better. So that's always been, at the basis of what we do. I just think, like I said, it's harder. So because no matter how much energy and output that I put into trying to build a relationship, it means that they still have to come back and be able to take the time to type or whatever it is on the other side. So that has been a struggle in terms of getting some of the regular engagement and interaction back. I think we've kind of tried to find a way around that that kind of lack, like that kind of wall of communication, by offering more virtual options in terms of like Zoom coaching calls. So we started doing group coaching where it's face to face and they can see you, and there was a little bit more regular communication there, so they could see a real person instead of just text on the screen. And we also have an online chat. We do have, the same community forum, but I'll be honest, it is harder to have that personal touch online. And it's something that we're working really hard to build. We've gotten great response from people saying that they felt we did give them that. I just would love to do even better, I guess is better.
Yeah, we're always our toughest critic. So
yeah.
That makes sense. So with your online offering, is it seen as like a separate revenue stream from the in-person, or is it just kind of like an extension of the in-person?
I'd say a little bit of both. We utilize our online offerings, like our membership includes access to our online platform. And so we have a couple different layers of our online. We've got like kind of a general membership that's like $15 a month, which is very cheap, I think. Or very low cost. I shouldn't say the word cheap, but it has regular content being added and a couple of 6-week programs, things like that. That's a little bit less hands-on. So it's more of like, hey, when I want to do a workout, I'm going to look this up. I'm going to follow along. So, more of a general online video library. Then we have some higher level coaching programs and private coaching that we do online. And obviously, the higher level of coaching is much more of, kind of like you and I are right here having this conversation. It definitely gets to be a little bit more of an investment. And our members don't typically utilize, our members in the gym don't typically utilize that same level of coaching because they're getting us in person at the gym. Mm-hmm. So we've really grown our online business. Like we are international. Like right now I've got 3 coaching groups running and I've got people from all over the world, like literally all over the world in these programs, which I think is the coolest thing. But yeah, I'm sorry. I lost track. I didn't answer your question. What was the
No, you did. I was just asking if it was a separate thing, a separate revenue stream versus in person. And so how are you going about marketing it then? So it sounds like obviously you're doing a different approach with that.
It is. It's a pain in the butt and I'm still working through it. and in terms of figuring that marketing side of things out, we've brought in some external coaches. My goal was to help make our online platform the top place to go for online coaching, for actual coaching experience. And so we pulled some of the best coaches that we could find and bring that we could think of, and we brought them in, and we helped design these programs and, get it all produced and put together. And, our number one way that we grew our marketing, and make our sales is through our email list. So I would say that is kind of our prime piece of how we make sales. We've grown our list from 0 to over 2,000 people that have signed up, and I that might not seem big, but I'm happy with it.
Oh, absolutely.
And so we did that using social media, YouTube, and having a really solid lead generator. Kind of a funnel. We set up a nice little funnel. And so we do market things differently. So for the gym, though, in our online platform.
Nice. Excellent. Well, I'm happy to hear you guys are doing well with that. And it's adding value to the business with what you guys are doing.
Yes, it is technically a separate stream, is what you were asking initially. It is kind of a separate stream of income. So it falls under the same business, but I manage that separately from the gym.
Which makes sense. I think if you're going to do it successfully, I think it kind of has to be, because it is a totally different type of animal that you're going after. And just like you said, I mean, you have to market it differently. It is a different approach. So I think if you don't look at it as almost two separate businesses under the same umbrella, then you might not be doing what you need to be doing to be effective with it. So as we work towards wrapping up the conversation, this has really been great, getting some insights with you and how you've been growing your business. As I mentioned to you before, I would like to kind of end with either some words of insight or wisdom or inspiration from you. If a gym owner came to you looking for support, based on what's going on right now, what people are dealing with, what do you feel a gym owner needs to hear the most?
I would say, lay out your path and, set goals, make a process for hitting these goals, and then stick to it. And constantly assess and reassess. I know that that's quite a few things, but the short answer is stay the path, because, I think I started with one client. I remember I started with one person, and next thing you know, it turns into 4, and then it turns into 20, and then it just grows and grows, and it takes time. And I think it's just be patient and stay the course, and make sure that you're outlining your process. So yeah.
Yeah. So in other words, don't get caught up in the shiny object syndrome.
Oh, I do that, but yes, that's my, that's definitely if my coach, Asa, was listening right now, she'd be like, oh, Dani, he called you out. But that I struggle with that, but I've learned now a little bit more, and I have a coach even. So yeah. Coaches need coaches. And so my coach helps me stay on track. Hey, I would also say one more thing is to not let your ego get the best of you. Because I think a lot of times we come in and, you open a business, or you're a fresh new coach, everything, you've got it all figured out. And there's a lot of really experienced people out there that want to help, and that have done things before. And I think it's really helpful to just have an open mind and to let go your ego, and not let your ego take over.
Definitely. It's it can be a hard thing to do, but that, yeah, I mean, that ego ultimately always just gets in the way, because it's going to cause you to pump the brakes from doing what you should be doing, just for the simple principle of it.
Yeah. Don't even know what's happening.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, absolutely. So I think that's a great message to leave with there, and be able to share that with other gym owners listening. And as a way to obviously wrap up this conversation, but Dani, thank you so much for your time and your dedication to this industry as a whole, and what you guys are doing, and to your clients and everything. It's obviously what makes this a great place to be.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for listening to me ramble.
Yeah, I think there's plenty of good nuggets in there, and that's part of it. Like I think it's great to, like, because like you never know what you might say that's going to trigger somebody else, or that one thing that somebody needed to hear, that's going to click for them, and they're going to be able to take it and run with it. And that's all it is. They just need one thing. So I think there's plenty of things within this conversation that I think were great insights to hit on. So I really appreciate you doing that. And if anybody wants to continue this conversation with you or ask you more questions, where's the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, they are welcome to, well, they can find me on Instagram at Dani Nicole A. I think you will probably end up sharing some of the links as well. But also I'm open to email, or if you are an FR member, Fitness Revolution member, you can find me in the forum on campus. So if you want to message me there too, I'm around. Happy to talk.
Perfect. And if you do feel at all inclined to want to reach out to Dani, please do. I mean, you never know what can happen from that, or how doors can open up and opportunities can be created. And as she mentioned, we'll definitely have the links in the show notes too, so you can easily be able to make that connection happen. And lastly, I just want to thank you, the listener, obviously, because we wouldn't have a show if you weren't listening. So we appreciate that. And we're happy to see that you're looking for ways and resources to improve your business. That's really important and something that should never stop. Now, the big thing after just listening to this conversation is, what are you going to apply from it? You can't just sit there and listen. You got to actually take action and apply it. So if it means re-listening to this, taking notes, then that's what you do, and make an action step list of what you're going to be doing and what you're going to focus on. That's where you actually have the value happen. And with that being said, I look forward to having you join us on the next Fitness Business Freedom Show. Thank you so much, and take care. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode on the Fitness Business Freedom Show. On behalf of Fitness Revolution and myself, we are thrilled you are looking for ways and resources to move your business forward, and we are honored to be that source for you. If you would like to receive more business building support from us, be sure to head over to the show notes and join our subscriber list and stay on top of all the industry insights that matter most to you. Now, before I close out today's show, if you found this episode beneficial in any way, I just ask you to leave us a simple review to help other gym owners find us and discover this show. Thank you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of the Fitness Business Freedom Show.